do the agenda for this time, okay? If that's fine with everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. It is 6:30, correct, Ryan?
It is.
Okay.
There's Nick.
It is, pardon me?
He came in. Nick came in.
Okay.
I'm here.
Hey, Nick.
How are you?
Good. Okay. It is 6:30. We'll call the meeting to order. I've taken roll call, and everyone is present, and we've got a guest in Larry Pratt. So welcome, Larry.
Thanks.
Go ahead. First item on the agenda that we need to do, all of you, is election of officers. Since Jeff Couchman is no longer part of the board, and he was our board president, we need to elect a president and secretary. So any of you that want to nominate someone, please say their name and let me know who's speaking. I need a nomination for president, board president. Not all at once now.
Okay, I'll nominate Connie Crawford.
No.
Yes.
No. I'm going to nominate Julie.
Connie Crawford.
No.
Actually, I would do it. But I think my husband might be retiring soon, so I'm going to pass on that.
Okay, we have a nomination for Connie Crawford to be the park board president, nominated by Lisa. Do I have a second?
I second that. Thanks. You're welcome.
You'll be wonderful, Connie.
It was the easy chair that did it. You looked so relaxed.
Okay, we need to take a vote. Julie?
Yeah.
Lisa?
Yes.
Tiffany?
Yes.
Christy?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And Connie, if you want to dissent, it's not going to make any difference.
That's fine.
Connie, you are our new park board president.
Oh boy.
Yay.
Now we need a nominations for secretary. Julie is our current secretary at the moment. And we need nominations for the position of secretary.
Do you not want to be secretary anymore, Julie?
I don't mind, you guys. That'd be great. But if he retires, I'll go with him. You know, we would be gone more would be the problem. But otherwise, I mean, it's okay with me, especially if we did it this way. I mean, my goodness, because I'm in Illinois right now. So,
oh, wow.
That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, my son had a baby.
Oh, exciting.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
I nominate Julie to be secretary then.
Who was that? Was
Me.
that Tiffany?
Yep. Connie seconds.
Okay.
The lap door, he seconds it too.
Okay. Any other nominations for secretary? Hearing none, we will vote now. Connie.
Oh, yes. I was
Lisa?
like, what?
Yes.
Tiffany?
Yes.
Christy?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
And Dan?
Yes.
It is unanimous. Okay, Julie, you are continuing to be our board secretary. Okay?
Yes.
All right, that is taken care of. I know I got the minutes out to you guys late. I just completely forgot about it when we were, when I was talking to Dan today. We sent all the attachments, and I didn't send the agenda or the minutes, but the minutes I had sent you later this afternoon. Have you all had a chance to read the minutes from the February 18th, 2020 meeting?
Yes.
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 Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So
Tiffany.
moved.
Is that Julie?
Yeah.
Tiffany seconds.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. We don't have any public requests and petitions unless Larry has something he would like to come to the board with.
No.
Okay. Under old business, wanted to talk to you about, Ryan and I want to talk to you about our Lions Park Master Plan update. You should have had the color attachments that we sent. And we had a selection committee of Steve Casey, myself, Ryan, and who else was it? Ryan?
The mayor was involved, and Steve from Lee Summit.
I said Steve.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Down at the firehouse. I'm drawing a blank.
Kurt.
Kurt. Yep.
Sorry, Kurt.
So anyway, we had a selection meeting, and we came up with a great plan. We think the colors, you don't have to, these may be the colors, may not be the colors. And Ryan is showing you the different ones. If you can continue, Ryan, that'd be great. If you can't, this is the playground design that we came up with for the Lions Park master plan. If I may say, we had 7 different companies give us proposals. AB Creative actually sent 3 separate proposals. All Inclusive Rec, Little Tykes also sent in 3 proposals. Athco had 3 proposals. Cunningham Recreation had 2. Miracle Playground, which was the company we went with at Jesse James Park, they submitted 1 proposal. Park and Play Structures sent in 1 proposal, and Park Planet sent in 2. And Park Planet was the highest rated playground company, and we went with option 1. And we feel like we've got a great playground for the Lions Park. It's, Ryan, and you can jump in here too. What we liked about it is it had an area for the bigger kids with the bigger structure. And then on that picture that he's showing right there, the smaller feature for the littler tots. And then off to the side is an area for the swing sets. And we talked to them about getting one of those that is a parent toddler swing set combo, where we will subtract one of those swings out and put that in at no charge. And then we had 2 companies that bid our splash pad, and All Inclusive Rec came up with 2 proposals, and RJR Power Play Vortex just had 1 proposal, and they were our highest rated by far. The splash pad we think is going to be fantastic, in addition to the playground. So that's where we're at. As far as the selection committee, we did have to send this off to Jeff City for approval, and they had a question. They just asked us to detail a little bit more on exactly why we went with this company as compared to any of the others. So We gave them documentation and everything's great. With this COVID-19 that we're dealing with right now, I will tell you that all major projects within the city are on hold. It might sound alarming, and it is, but the thing of it is we're not the only ones that are placing their projects on hold. They told us down at Jeff City, many communities are in the same boat that we are. And when we do decide to fire this back up, we just have to, and issue contracts, we just have to send that information on down to Jeff City. And if we run late on our timeline, we can always file an extension. And with the circumstances that we are in, they felt like an extension, if we so need it, is not going to be a problem. Ryan, if you want to add something, you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Eric touched on, the thing that I really love the most about this is that it not only has a great structure for the older kids, kind of in the back of this photo here, but it also has a nice structure for toddler age. Being that Lions Park has traditionally operated kind of as our toddler park in the city, we didn't want that element to be lost. And I think that weighed pretty heavily on most of our minds when we were making the selection. We thought that Park Planet had a really strong toddler selection for their stuff as well. They actually their other proposal included this real neat area with AstroTurf and everything. However, that would significantly cut into the price of the AstroTurf versus, the price of mulch naturally is going to be way different and way higher. So that would cut into our structures, both the big kids and the little kids, the toddler structure. One thing I did want to point out is we had discussed in this picture, this balance beam here. It doesn't really do a lot for us as a committee. And we requested that we possibly replace this with a couple of spring riders or something along those lines. And they certainly agreed to that. So overall, like Eric said, we had a lot of really good applications, proposals. And overall, we just felt the best with Park Planet as a group. And it was pretty much unanimous. As a whole, I think just about everyone had Park Planet in their first or second selection as far as the rankings go. So it was pretty much unanimous that Park Planet was the one to go with this time. And as far as the splash pad, the Vortex proposal was pretty much in line with what almost all of us had imagined. So we were really happy to see what they had proposed versus the other proposal that we had got for splash pad.
One thing, if I may say, is when I was talking with Dan this afternoon, he said, is that going to be the colors? And I said, it may be, might not be. Once we decide and we fire this thing back up, we just have to let them know our color schemes. And if you'd like to know what, if we get it down to 2 or 3 and you'd like to give us your input, we'd be more than happy to take your recommendations and suggestions. And because we want both of these to be as color coordinated with the playground and the splash pad as we possibly can.
Absolutely.
I really like the colors. I think they look fantastic.
Yeah, I love the blue too.
Well, yeah, the funny thing is they kind of match already right now, just with the proposals. But that wasn't intentional. These are 2 separate companies that proposed. So it's kind of funny how that worked out.
I do have a question. Looking at both of the playgrounds, are those both, the little kids one and the bigger kids one, accessible to students or kids with disabilities? I see on the bigger one, it looks like there's a ramp to get on. Is there an accessibility point on the smaller one?
Let me see if I have a better angle. So there is a low entry. It's if you kind of look on the left of this photo here, by where those brown bars are, that pretty much touches the ground.
But there's still the stairs there. Okay.
Yeah, it is. It is supposed to be ADA accessible, and
it's all ADA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's ADA compliant.
Okay.
Yeah, guys, my question with Eric was pick a color that will stand up to UV rays so that it doesn't fade out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's why I was concerned about the color.
Have we had a problem with the one at Jesse James fading at all?
Actually, you know, you must have been reading Dan and I's mind, because the green hasn't faded at all.
No.
But like I was talking to Dan, I said, the blue, we don't know if it's, you know, how much it fades or whatever, but water and the sun, you know, with the chlorine might fade things more, but the actual green out there hasn't faded. So we're going to ask the play companies, you know, does the blue fade? You know, if we do like the blue, we definitely want to ask them, you know, with the water and the chlorine and things of that nature, is that going to be a major factor in fading? We do know that red is a big no-no.
Yeah.
So,
and it's actually been recommended to us by the Lease Summit people that we pick a very neutral color for the base of the splash pad, the actual cement area, because they have had, you know, some issues with the color fading and coming off and that sort of thing. So they would strongly recommend just a real solid base color for that.
And it would be, the concrete would be colored concrete. That way we don't have to paint it. The paint starts chipping and peeling and things of that nature. So
colored like a terracotta or something tan, or
probably something along those lines. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So that's, you know, we were really excited about this. And just so you know, our architects are still, even though this portion right now, as far as offering contracts to these people, is on hold right now, we are still working with the actual architect, Virio, behind the scenes, and they're getting everything in order. So when we do fire this back up, boom, they can issue a contract. We can have select a contractor, do all this stuff. So that's still ongoing. And hopefully in the near future, we can.
In fact, I was just running around the park the other day, taking pictures of different electrical elements for Larry, our architect. And so they are definitely still hard at work on it. So that's encouraging.
So you guys all like this?
I do.
Dude,
it's good.
Yeah.
You know,
It's very inviting.
Another thing that Ryan and I both thought too is it's totally different than what the playground is that's out at Jesse James Park. It's a total different look.
Yeah, so, and one thing I wanted to address is that, you know, in my mind when we were picking these, and I voiced this to the committee as well, we wanted to try to pick something that wouldn't specifically date this park to, you know, the you know, early 2020s. You know, in previous parks and previous stuff we've had, like the Lions Park now, it's you know, you can tell exactly when it was put in. Now, you know, granted, all this stuff follows trends, but we really tried to pick something that would be not necessarily just time stamped. Okay, that was put in early 2020, you know, that decade. So time will tell, but we think we did a good job. There were some that we had a few that had some pretty unique concepts, and we just weren't entirely comfortable with them. So.
Well, I remember when we did the play structure at Jesse James,
Yes.
And Mayor Dane wanted the biggest statement that he could make with that playground.
Mhm.
And I think it was the largest structure in the US or something, wasn't it? The tallest or the biggest one that you could buy?
Yeah, that was the largest web climber west of the Mississippi.
The web
at
climber.
that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I just remember him talking about that. And then when we put that thing in, like the community just went crazy on how
Yes.
wonderful it was. And now it doesn't seem very big, maybe because it's been out there for so long. But looking at this, it makes a statement to me. The two structures together and those big awnings that are crooked up there, like I think it looks really sharp. I really like it.
Good.
Yeah.
Years ago,
We're pleased to hear that.
Huh?
I have
What,
one
Nick?
concern. I have one concern.
Yes.
I'm sorry, did I jump in on Nick?
No, go
What
ahead.
about skateboarders? I know that the structure at Southview, which one of these is very similar to the one at Southview Elementary. We've had trouble for years with skateboarders getting on it and ruining it. Do they have some things to where it's going to be difficult for a skateboarder to get up and down on this?
Well, first and foremost, as Ryan stated earlier, we're not going to have the pour in place rubber or turf base.
Right.
It's going to be the wood chips that are like out at Jesse James Park and what's there at Lions Park right now, the engineered wood fiber chips. So we can get more of the product, more playground apparatus. Second thing is there is in Lions Park, there are no skateboard, technically, quote, no skateboards allowed. When this new park comes in, there will not be skateboards allowed because we don't want this tore up.
Right. Good.
Yep. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Lisa had a question on an email when we were talking about the playground and about bathrooms and things of that nature. Right? And in the proposal, the Lions Park proposal, there is going to be another bathroom on the south side of the building. And we will still have the bathrooms that are on the north side, but this will be kind of like what they did out at Mac Porter Park. It's a prefab bathroom, and they will set it down. The plumbing will all be already there, and they set it on the base, and boom, we have running water, regular bathrooms, and so on and so forth. So that's also in this project.
Yeah, and that'll be really nice because it'll allow for the splash pad people not to have to run all the way across the park if they want to use the restroom. And another thing to point out, and I don't have those documents on this computer, but as you guys remember, connectivity was a real big focus for Steve Casey when he was doing the architectural, the overall concept for the park, connectivity from the splash pad to the playground and back and forth and to the restrooms. So that'll all be walkable. There'll be tons of sidewalk there. And that's one thing that I think we're really going to hit a home run on is just the overall flow and the connectivity of the park, especially when those berms are gone. The park will just flow so nicely after that.
Any other thoughts, concerns, questions on the playground?
I was just going to make a comment.
Sure.
Years ago, when I lived elsewhere, we would travel to Kearney to hang out with our family at Jesse James. So I've always appreciated that park. Now I think this will be fantastic, even from a perspective of having a daycare here, with 100 kids. We find places, we look for places to go and bring the kids. Oftentimes we're traveling down to Penguin Park and things like that. This is a great destination. I think people will travel here to partake in this. I think the splash pad is going to be a great draw. And yeah, I love it. I think it's great. It's great for our town.
Thanks, Nick. The thing of it is too, when you're going to be taking these kids are going to be able to go to that splash pad and go for free, and they get tired of going on the splash pad, they can run right over. It's going to be adjacent. Ryan hit it perfect. The connectivity of these two things, it's going to be great. And just so Connie, when we said we wanted to put this out in that area, especially talking about the splash pad, you had concerns with 33. We will have a fence, just that's still in there. And this way we don't have kids running out into, Highway 33. So that was, a big thing that you brought up, and it was a proper thing to bring up. And so the fencing that will enclose the splash pad for sure.
Good.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Wanted to let you know, I'm going to turn this over to Ryan, and he can give you kind of the lowdown on our baseball, softball, and soccer.
Okay, so as you all are well aware, this pandemic has really kind of stopped the country, honestly, and unfortunately, that includes youth sports. So our soccer season, it was our first season since we took over the Celtic Soccer League, and we had Kearney kind of as our point person, helping us get everything set up, and she was to be our game day person, being out there and make sure everything goes smoothly for us. Well, we got one game into the season. Unfortunately, we had back-to-back rainouts. We got to play a game, and then all this stuff with the pandemic started happening, and eventually the Tri-County Soccer League canceled the season. And so refunds have been issued, prorated refunds have been issued. Unfortunately, we got all the uniforms and everything for the kids, before the first game. And so unfortunately the parents are out that, but they do get to keep the uniforms. So we prorated out those refunds. Baseball, softball, t-ball is not looking great. We have a meeting scheduled for Friday with our partners in Smithville and Excelsior Springs, and it's very likely that the season will be canceled as a whole for baseball, softball, and t-ball. It breaks our heart. Unfortunately, there's just not a whole lot we can do. So I would anticipate having a formal announcement to the parents of the kids signed up in the next week or so, and refunds will be issued. We tried everything we could to have the season, and it's just unfortunate, and I feel bad for the kids more than anything. But this is a time where a lot of people in the country are having to make sacrifices, and people's jobs and livelihoods are at stake. So in the grand scheme of things, this is kind of small, and it's just something we're just going to have to do and go through and get it over with.
And I know some people might
Tiffany,
say, well, why don't you?
Tiffany had a comment, and she's muted.
Sorry, Fred. I mean, my daughter asked me a question. I do have a question. Have you guys with the league thought about playing in July and August, or even offering a fall league of some kind for the kids? Being the mom of softball players,
sure.
I mean, they don't play in the league, but letting the kids at least have the opportunity to have some kind of a ball season this year.
That is something that we're discussing with our partners right now. I don't know the answer to that, but we're certainly looking into it.
Okay, good. Well, if they do a fall league and need help, I will help, so that way the kids can play ball this fall.
Sure.
If nothing else.
Absolutely. Right. I appreciate that.
The thing of it is it's sad, but we just don't know when they're going to lift this dang thing and allow people to be in groups of 10 or more. And if, say, for example, it's if we could have a late season, that'd be great. But we start advertising and start taking registrations in July for flag football. And naturally, we don't want to have two events going at the same time because we don't want them to have to pick and choose on two events that they're signing up for. But if there's any way we can do it, we'd love to do it, because these kids need to get outside. So we'll just wait and see what Clay County Health comes up with, and we'll play it by ear.
Yeah, and I think the biggest limiting factor is, Eric hit it on the head, is going to be when they say, okay, now we can have groups of 10 to 20 assemble. That's when we can get serious about this again, hopefully.
Yeah, guys, I ran into Jeff Morrison, and I asked him about football and different things because of summer camp and stuff, and they're dealing with the same thing. They're not sure how this thing's going to play out and when the kids can get together, and so this is going to affect not only our sports, but it could affect the school sports as well.
Oh, absolutely. School, high school, collegiate, professional. Unfortunately, we're just not immune to that as much as we'd love to be.
And when they say that, does that just mean the kids, or does that mean everybody? If you have parents out there too, well, sitting on the bleachers
there's a lot of questions that have to be answered.
I will say, so my kids play competitive, and my daughter is scheduled to go to Minnesota, God willing, fingers crossed, the first week in June to play. And we got an email from the tournament director, and I think this is probably how all USSSA and USA is going to go this year. No fans are allowed in the bleachers. Everybody has to bring their own chair. After the game, they don't shake hands or anything. The teams go to the foul lines, wave at each other. Like, let's say my team is batting, only half my players can sit in the dugout. The other half have to have a chair and sit behind the dugout. Before the game, it's just the coach, one coach from each team. You don't have any players that go out there.
Right.
For the concession stand, they're going to have lines drawn, and then they're bringing in additional outhouses for porta potties, I guess, not outhouses, porta potties.
Right.
So I anticipate that's how it's probably going to be an organization-wide thing, and hopefully by putting those things in place, we can get the kids out there playing.
Sure. We will definitely keep you updated on what we're going to do. That's for sure. Anything else on youth baseball, softball from any of you? Okay, we will go to item 7, new business. Preliminary application, renaming of Jesse James Park to Bill Dane Memorial Park. This was brought to the Board of Aldermen last night, and they to have a park named after you, there's a formal request that was put in place. That way we just don't say, yeah, we want to name this park in honor of. There's got to be some criteria met, and I sent you that information, and there is an application from a preliminary application from Jim and Mayor. And Ryan and I had some thoughts on staff comments, and the public is going to be able to weigh in on this. We think it will be favorable. The majority of it anyway will be favorable. And if you'd like to hear our comments and things, but it goes before the park board first, and then we would send it back to the Board of Aldermen for further review and final say, either yay or nay, that park will be renamed.
How would the public weigh in on it? Would they just comment at a Board of Aldermen meeting? Or
so
how would that go?
What
Go
we're
ahead,
doing, we are, after this meeting, probably tomorrow, we're going to invite public comment via letter, essentially email or letter. And we will be posting that on our social media when we have set up a specific email address specifically for this case, so people can email in their letters and their thoughts or resolutions or whatever is appropriate. We're just seeking public comment and the public feel on this application.
And we're gathering names of people that we know that had dealings with the parks and some prominent people in the community, but it's just not the prominent people in the community. Anybody that wants to make public comment 2 or 4, we are welcoming that. If you don't mind, I'd like to read some of Ryan and I's initial comments. There's going to be more, but this just was brought to us the other day, and Ryan and I have been brainstorming, so bear with me real quick.
So are these comments from you and Ryan, or comments that were given to you by other people?
No, this is Eric and I's comments.
Okay.
Initial staff comments. Bill Dane lived a life dedicated to public service. He served on the Kearney Park Board, actively participating in the planning of Jesse James Park, and as mayor presided over a time of massive growth and abundant public projects. Some of the highlights of Mayor Dane's career include, and are not limited to, the construction of the bike and walking trail in Jesse James Park in 2004, fundraising for and contributing heavily to the planning and the construction of the Kearney Amphitheater in 2006-2007, leading the effort to design and construct the playground and shelters at Jesse James Park, which included at the time the only double web climber structure west of the Mississippi. We call it the wow factor. That was in 2007. Construction of the decel lane, something people don't think about getting into the park is we have the deceleration lane on Highway 33 that leads into the park. That was in 2009. Construction of the 11,000 square foot Kearney Amphitheater Pavilion in Jesse James Park in 2010. And that was funds for that basically have come from North Kansas City Beverage. If they were to not continue their sponsorship, there was a 3-way factor to help construct and pay off the debt service on those pavilions. The Jesse James Festival, the City of Kearney, and the Knights of Columbus. Each of us would have had to pay a certain percentage all these years. And he and Larry Pratt were able to help secure funding for that. That way, that wasn't a factor in having those built. Also, the construction of the Jesse James Disc Golf Course in 2011, 2012, construction of the bike and walking trail in Mac Porter Park in 2010 and 2011. We received a grant also for part of that funding. He also wanted to add recreation activities for youth and adults. And, instead of just the traditional sports, we added the skate park and pickleball courts on 19th Street. We also partnered with the Kearney Rotary Club to construct the outdoor basketball court in Lions Park and fulfilled his multi-year vision of connecting those two parks. And I started 18 years ago this upcoming Thursday, and that was on his agenda 18 years ago. And it finally came to fruition to connect those two parks with a walking trail, and it's fabulous. And that Clear Creek pedestrian bridge was built in 2017. Also, something he did is he also wanted to allow for the expansion of the festival, the actual Jesse James Festival. It only used to be 1 week, and they came and asked to have 2 weekends. That way they can host a demolition derby on the first weekend of the festival. He also was really big and wanted more fish in that pond. So stocking of trout and the other game fish in the pond for the anglers, for kids, all the way up to older adults. And he was able to get the Missouri Department of Conservation to take control basically of that pond. That way they can monitor the fish counts, and they do that periodically. And we are stocking trout 3 to 4 times a year, and with their recommendations of the other game fish that we decide to put in the pond. That way it's not overcrowded by a specific species. So those are some of our comments that Ryan and I have. We really want you guys to make comments, send those in to Ryan and I. And this will either be, I think it's going to be in the May or June board meeting. And I will find that out for sure when they want to have to do this. We will let you know, but please send us some of your comments.
Where do you want those sent, Eric?
You can send it via email to us. That's fine. Or you can do it on typewritten and mail it in to us, whichever is easier for you. But we want to compile all this in addition to the other people that from the public that might be making comments. That way we will go to the Board of Aldermen, and Connie, you and I and Ryan will be there in attendance. That way, if they have any further questions of the park board, and Dan naturally will be at that meeting because he's our Board of Aldermen liaison. So that's what we have for you on that. Any comments or things you might want to add, or that we might not have thought of? Bill's passing was 2 years ago this month, as a matter of fact.
Yep.
And is the bridge at the park named after him?
No, it is not.
It's not.
Officially named Clear Creek Pedestrian Bridge.
Okay. And then someone said to me that, are we renaming 19th Street after him?
No.
No. We were going to rename the new bridge over I-35 and then expand part of 19th Street, but due to public outcry, that got turned down.
Okay. So at this point, there is nothing named after Mayor Bill Dane.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
All right.
So right now we're looking at either renaming the park or leaving the park as is.
Correct. It would be named Bill Dane Memorial Park. And when the festival has their festival, it would be Jesse James Festival at Bill Dane Memorial Park.
Thanks.
So that's the application that is going forward. And like I said, we need your comments. And I know it's, you probably have some things going in your head right now, but please email those to me here at City Hall, and all those will be part of public record when this goes before the Board of Aldermen. I will double check with Jim whether he wants it at the May meeting, the first meeting or the second meeting in May, or the first meeting in June. And we'll go from there. What he's
Eric,
thinking.
make sure that you get this out to the Jesse James Festival Committee before they have their meeting so that they can discuss it.
We've already, Jim has asked for suggestions of, just random people that have done things in the park, go to
park
the park
stakeholders type things. Yeah.
Right. and we've already given him Dan Colt's name since he is the president, and they will be reaching out to him via email and so on and so forth for their comments.
Okay.
And in fact, Jim has already started that process this afternoon, and there was a whole bunch that he's already reached out to. I can tell you that.
So, okay.
Mhm.
I don't have anything else as far as this, unless you have any more comments. If not, we'll move to the amphitheater. Any more comments? Okay, Ryan.
Okay, so this is kind of Pete and repeat here. Yeah, the whole pandemic situation has definitely cast a cloud of doubt on the amphitheater season. As of right now, like Eric alluded to earlier, all major city projects are on hold, and that includes the amphitheater. So currently, we are on hold. We anticipate a downturn in our sales tax revenues for the year, and that is by and large one of the main ways the city funds things, and that includes park programs and the amphitheater. Jim and the mayor and the board are all working on different economic models as to how severe of a sales tax decrease we are able to take in. One of those models might include not having an amphitheater season this year. It's unfortunate. It certainly breaks Eric and I's hearts. We, as you all know, we really pour a lot of ourselves into that place and the season. But it might be what's necessary to make the city function and continue to function for the year. There are a lot of unknowns right now, and this is one of them. We just don't know how severe the revenues that the city takes in are going to be affected. So as of right now, we're on hold, and should we find out anything more, we will certainly reach out to all of you and let you know the status.
So not only with the amphitheater, as you know, we were supposed to be the host for the Rose Lowenstein big gala out at the amphitheater. With this pandemic that has come through, they've pushed that back. Ryan, you want to give them that date?
It's the new date would be August 29th. They are still operating under the assumption that the event will take place, and gosh, by the end of August, I sure hope so. But that event is still moving forward.
One thing we don't know also is, with the fireworks, if it's in July and we still have the no more than 10 gathering, well, as you all know, the park is a zoo that night, so we don't know what's going to happen with the July 3rd fireworks show either.
Yeah,
so
that's sorry, Eric.
Go ahead.
That's, in part of this thing, it really is truly a double-edged sword. On one hand, amphitheater gatherings are typically large gatherings of at least 50 people or more. So we have that in one hand, and then the other hand, we have the economic reality of what is going on right now with city revenues. I really wish we had a better answer for all of you than we don't know yet. But truly, I have faith in Mayor and Jim and the board that they will do what is best for the city of Kearney and its residents. And if that includes not having an amphitheater season this year, that's just the reality we have to face for the year. And it's everybody has to make sacrifices right now, and this might be one of them.
So
where do we stand as far as money with our contracts, and like, are we just going to be out all that money, or would we get it back?
Well, currently, there is no money out right now.
No deposits
there have been no deposits made, nothing along those lines. We only have 2 fully executed contracts right now, and we are working with our agent. We've certainly made our agent aware of the different possibilities, and we are working to come to a resolution on that. But currently there's only 2 fully executed contracts, meaning both parties have signed, and there have been no deposits made. So that's don't want to end the meeting on a low note. So Eric, go ahead, and I'll have something for everybody at the end.
Well, I don't have anything else to add, except for we appreciate the public. We had to shut down the pickleball court and skate park and take the basketball goals off out of the court, but people are really using the park as far as walking, exercising, having keeping their distances and things like that. We still see people out there throwing the football around or throwing a frisbee around and enjoying the park. We love seeing that, and so the parks are still open. The bathrooms that are located in Mac Porter Park, those are shut. And the drinking fountains on the trail on 19th Street and on Glenside, those are have not been turned on. So
are we planning to open the playgrounds on the 15th, or is there a date yet for that? Are we planning a big grand reopening of the playground, or?
Here's the thing, Connie, we won't know until we hear from Clay County what we can do and what we cannot do and how many people can be there.
Yeah, they sorry, Eric, I keep jumping on you.
Go ahead.
They indicated that Gary Zabrak with Clay County Health has indicated that they are working on procedures specifically for municipalities on procedures on reopening public places and public gatherings, and we will certainly know more very soon on that. I anticipate that in the next week or two, and we'll know when we can open up and what we'll be able to do with that scenario.
And Ryan and I have we coordinate with or not coordinate, but we are in constant touch with the KC Metro park directors and things of that nature. And, we were going with them and saying, what are you closing down? Do you still have this open? And so on and so forth. And we're right in line with everybody else that is in the park system. All their bathrooms are shut down. Their drinking fountains are not on. Some people that did not have Johnny on the spots, and people's, they don't like the Johnny on the spots, they're certainly thankful that they have them right now. So anyway, that's where we're at. We just don't know. We don't want to, one thing we don't want to do is rush into something too quick and have a major setback, or, and I know Clay County and Gary is they're looking at all avenues, the safest way we can do that to get back to somewhat of a normal activity for patrons. So
last week with my family to have a little dinner picnic under one of the shelters and forgot they were closed until we got there. So.
Oh,
yeah.
It's all right.
So,
well, the Optimist Club, I had called Eric a couple weeks ago about the Optimist Club somehow doing something for kids in the community. And I don't know if you guys had seen, we bought 200 ice cream cones at Dairy Queen this week, so you can take your kids for free to get ice cream. But if the parks decide to do a big grand reopening day or something, and we can go out there and hand out free hot dogs and water or something and make it a big like city celebration or something, we would love to be a part of that. If that's a thing, I don't know.
like, and I did mention this to Jim, that you had brought this to my attention, because of our Kids Fest, and do something on a smaller scale. Well, and then I gave you the Debbie Downer of the funding and right. But one thing that I do know that they don't want to do is rush back into things and have a big setback. So
yeah, that's one thing behind the scenes that the cities are being cautioned on by their public health entities is, this needs to be a gradual rollout. So, once we hit that final stage, that's when we can talk, doing this thing. So, boy, how awesome would it be to see everyone out in the park and having a great time, and privately to the mayor and Jim and Eric, I told them, obviously we're disappointed at the prospect of, potentially not having an amphitheater season, but wouldn't it be great if Eric and I are running around at the last minute scrambling to put together a show for everyone in late August? That would just be fantastic. And I got to say, I want to end the meeting on a high note. So I want to say how proud of this community I am. I believe it was Sunday afternoon. We heard a bunch of horns honking. And so we take our daughter to the window, our 15-month-old baby daughter. And there's a parade of people just driving in their cars, waving to everybody, and there's this really a sight to see, and it warms the heart because, everyone's at different stages with this thing right now. And I'm at the hopeful stage personally. So I think we're going to survive, a few more weeks and make it through this, and everyone will come out stronger. And in 20 years, we'll be like, remember when the whole world shut down for 2 months? So
right.
That's my comments on that.
If nothing else, I'm going to ask you guys if you have any comments, board comments. Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn to May 19th?
I make a motion, Tiffany, to adjourn the meeting.
Do I hear a second?
Connie will second. Or Julie.
All in favor?
I didn't say anything.
Aye. Aye.
That's fine, Connie.
Okay. Well, board members, have a great night, and we'll keep in touch.